Yes.
God is good every time. I swear, Mr. Diggy, pray and to him. God is good. God is good every time. That's how we ready to know advice. I have seen many BMW, I've seen many Benz. All of them mean nothing to me. After Mr. Diggy, daddy, all women. But happy we tell you that I just a follow the
Hi Alice. Karibu sana.
lakini mwishowe pamoja na maskini wakaga. Sasa nimetambua ya kwamba kwa Yesu
Karibu sana Alice, Kamau, Edwina, Dongo. So glad to see you join us. We are just waiting to have 2 more and we are started for this live video. Yes. Yes, Alice is watching from Sunview Estate near Kenyatta Market. I know that place. Have ever gone to see Alice, who was our pioneer secretary. So Alice, asante sana for your continued support. We are very happy to have you here. In the next 5, we will start our video. We will start our discussion for today. Let's Talk Tuesday. Karibuni sana. Yes. Yes, tafadhali, you can let me know where you're watching us from. And we are happy to have you here. So hello guys, karibuni sana to Let's Talk Tuesday. It's another day that the Lord has granted unto us, and we are happy. I'm happy to see you all who are watching, and thank you for joining us on this live video. Yes, Eunice Muregu, wherever you are, unaitwa huku, karibu sana. And today we are just all about demystifying who DPAK is. We are going to enlighten our members and interested and potential members on who we are, what we do, and how you can become a member of our association. So I am hoping that I'll answer all your questions, because I have received so many inboxes asking me how can I join, asking me, do you have jobs? I'm looking for a job. So we will clarify where we come in when it comes to getting jobs, and also advice on what it is that you can do if you're looking for a job, or if you're looking for a domestic worker to work for you. And we are really grateful for the faith that you have had in us, asking us to get you jobs, asking us to get you domestic workers. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and tunashukuru sana. So before I start, I would like to remind you of one of those classes where we did a class on, was it human needs, and there was the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And the basic needs is the physiological needs. These are the basic needs that I hope you people can see me, can hear me. Yes, so kama mnanisikia tafadhali let me know. Alice, can you hear me? Yes, so I'm talking about the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and the basic ones, which is the physiological needs. They're the basic needs that we talked about: food, shelter, clothing. At one point I really believe that education is a basic need, so that is me adding. I don't know whether Maslow put it there. So there are those needs that everyone requires. It's a requirement for survival. Then there is the safety needs. We need employment, you need to feel safe, health. And well, health probably is also a physiological need, but anyway, it's put under safety needs. Then the third one, which now I want to really dwell on, is love and belongingness. We all want to belong somewhere. We all want to belong to the family of this and that. We all want to belong to this career. We want to belong to this area. I remember when we were in high school, and people would be so proud that they come from a certain particular area. I won't go into details because someone may think that I'm attacking them, but we always want to belong somewhere. There is always that yearning, or you yearn to belong to some place. And it's a human need. And this has been seen even in careers, where we have so many people forming associations. We have for lawyers, for architects, for accountants, for human resource professionals. And it got me thinking, why is it that we don't have a body that, as domestic workers, we can own it and say, this is our body. I'm a domestic professional and I'm a member of this association. So DPAK fulfills this desire or this need in us to belong. That we belong to a certain community, a community of domestic professionals. So that is basically what DPAK is coming in to fill in us, the need for belonging. The fourth Maslow hierarchy of needs is esteem needs. We want to feel we want to acquire certain status. We want to be dignified. Like it's a dignity that comes with this belonging. We want respect from other people. We are not going to gain this respect if you're not doing anything about it. Then we have the self-actualization. Self-actualization, it's all about self-development. What is it that you have always yearned to be? Like the best that you can be. But I want to dwell on the love and belongingness that DPAK brings the community of domestic service workers, the domestic service sector together, so that we can belong to one community and have that sense of belonging, that I belong to this community of domestic professionals. So that basically was just to warm you up and let you know that DPAK is our association, our place to find love and belonging. So when DPAK was formed, it was formed with basically two things in mind. One is a professional body, and secondly is a regulatory body. The domestic service sector has been for a very long time very disorganized. There is no order, there is no accountability, and anyone can wake up and decide, hey, I'm a domestic professional, I'm a domestic worker. Anyone can wake up and say, hey, today I want a domestic worker. Anyone can wake up and say, hey, I want to start an agency. But is there order? Is there professionalism? As a professional body, we are all about professional development, professional qualification. For a very long time, what we use as domestic workers is I have 10 years experience, I have 5 years experience working, but we rarely get people who are saying, I have 5 years experience, and on top of this, I have this qualification. I have attended a class in childcare, I have attended a class in home care management. So what we were formed to basically bring in the industry is the professionalism. Secondly, it's the regulatory aspect of it. In the regulatory aspect, it's based into we are setting the standards, and secondly, we are ensuring compliance to these standards, that you are accountable to a body that tells you you're accountable to your colleagues, you're accountable to people that you're in the same industry with, that you're saying, hey, I'm a domestic professional, I'm a member of DPAK, I'm abiding by this particular set code of conduct. And we have a body that is DPAK that also listens to complaints against our members. For example, you went to work for someone and you did something and it was not very pleasing. In most cases, when a DM does something, let's call them the rogue DMs, it tarnishes everyone's name, and everyone is like, DMs, what, and mamoja, they do this and that and that. But this is because there is no, all of them are put in the same basket. But when we have a member of DPAK, we are able to say that this member number 2224, was disqualified or was suspended or expelled from the association because of A, B, C, D. And so it brings the regulatory aspect in the industry that has been very disorganized. So maybe you're there and you're asking yourself, how can I join DPAK? What are the qualifications? How can I become a member of this organization? I will start with, we have 3 categories of members. The first one is the domestic professionals themselves. As a domestic professional, as a domestic worker, you qualify for membership in DPAK. However, you have to fulfill a number of qualifications. The second one is the employer. As an employer, you qualify to join DPAK, but you have to fulfill a certain set of a certain qualification or a membership criteria that we use to admit you into our association. And then the third category is the category of agencies or training institutions. And we only accept you as a member in only one category. There are some people who have an agency, they do training and they do placement. You have to specify which category you want to join. So if you want to join as a placement agency or as a training agency. And I'll explain later in this video why we want you to specify which one you want to join as. So let us go to membership qualifications for domestic professionals. One, you have to be 18 years of age. We don't accept underage, we only accept 18 years and above. So if you're 18 years and above and you're a domestic worker, you qualify for membership. Secondly, you have to be currently working in a home setup, or you have done so in the previous 3 years with the intent to do so in the future. The reason as to why we require you to be working is because, one, when people join and they are not currently working, they join with the goal to just get a job. And it really messes people when you are trying to move the agenda of this is a professional body, this is what we are advocating for, and they're telling you, by the way, we need a job. So if you're looking for a job, go to the nearest agency, or find an agency that you can work with to secure yourself a job. Then once you're working, you are eligible to join DPAK. Secondly, protect the public. As a professional body, as a regulatory body, we have to protect the interest of our public. And one of the challenges that we usually have when we are doing vetting of domestic workers is they rarely provide you with the previous employer. Why? We all have stories of how my phone got lost, how hatukuachana na ubaya, and there is always a story. Alirudi kwao, alikuwa ametoka Spain, alikuwa ametoka sijui Nigeria, and they went back, so you don't have their contact. It always becomes an issue. And because we want to make it as easy for the public when they're hiring you, we need you to be currently working, and we get that contact. And so what we're saying is we also need your current employer to know. It's not like you're doing it under the bed or hiding. Let them know that you're a member of this professional body and you abide by a certain set of code of conduct, that you are accountable to not only your current employer but even to another body to which you belong to. And number 3 is we require you to have contactable professional references. This was Naandamana mbili. Then the 4th one, and the most important one, is you must participate in professional development training. Why is it that we're doing that? It's because, like I said, one of our goals is to be a professional body, or our mandate is we are a professional body. So as a professional body, we are encouraging our members to acquire some skills in the domestic, in domestic work. For example, if you join today, we expect you to attend a class that we call orientation class. In the orientation class is where we talk about our code of conduct, what we expect from you. We also talk about communication skills, because when you're working, at times you face situations that really require you to call yourself for a meeting and ask yourself, is this something that I can accommodate? Is this something that I need to speak about? So how do you address it? It is handled in the communications class. We talk about interviews. Most of the time when people go for an interview, they don't know what to ask, they don't know what to say, and in most cases they find themselves like completely lost in between. We talk about etiquette, we talk about personal grooming, we talk about self-development. And in our previous interviews, we've talked about mental health. How can you take care of yourself? How do you get self-awareness to know that when this happens, it pushes me to a corner and I need to handle it as soon as now? And that is the orientation class. Secondly, we expect you as a domestic professional to enroll in at least one class in a year. Why is it that we expect you to do that? If you are going to acquire what we say dignity, we are going to acquire respect, we're going to be recognized as a profession, because for a very long time domestic work hasn't been looked at like a profession. People look at it as a job where people go when they're not wanted anywhere else. So if we are going to achieve our goals, then we require our members to attend a class in domestic work, in home care management. There are very many classes, but currently the trainer that we're using is Kenya Nani and offers 4 very basic classes. The first one is organization skills. Organization skills deals with laundry, time management, all that. The second one is childcare. The third one is first aid, and the 4th one is cooking. So once you join, you're expected to at least attend one class in a year. And the most expensive class with our trainer goes for like 5,000, and it's the cooking class. The rest don't go beyond 3,000. So tell us why in a year you will not be able to participate in at least one professional development. And there are so many expectations that we have of our members. And the other one is we encourage or advocate for members to at least work in one home setup or in one workplace for 3 years. And sometimes I get asked the question, why 3 years? The reason as to why we say 3 years is because when you're joining, you probably are in your first year where you're working, or in your second year, or in your third year, and you require time for you to grow your portfolio, for you to grow your CV and package yourself for the next opportunity that comes. And 3 years means in the first year, you're just identifying yourself. By the time you're getting to the second year, you already know, who am I? You've gotten to a self-awareness place where you know who you are, what you're really good at, and you've also identified that this is an employer that I can stay with for the next 2 years as I develop myself. And you say, in the next 2 years, I will enroll in a class in organization skills because I'm very good when it comes to housekeeping. And secondly, I'll enroll in a class in cooking. Mostly for persons who are looking for housekeepers, they require you to have a course in they require you to also do cooking. So organization skills and cooking for a housekeeper is a plus. If you realize that I am very good with children, and wherever I'm working, the only setback is the salary. And because I want to, I want to grow myself and I want to also earn more, what I require is I'll require to go for a childcare class and a first aid class. And this puts you at a place where you become very marketable. That even as you go out, you're telling employers, hey, I have 3 years experience, in this place. On top of it, I have attained a course in house management. I have attained a course in organization skills and a course in housekeeping. This person, if they were looking for a housekeeper, they take you in. And if you're seated on that table, you have a very good chance to bargain for better salary, simply because you have the skills, you have the experience, and the way you're packaging yourself, it really tells the employer this is a serious person that we're dealing with. So that is one of the things that is one of the things why we encourage our employees not our employees but our members work for at least 3 years. In the 3 years, you have gotten to a point where you know yourself, you know your weaknesses, you know your strengths, and when you go into the next step, you already know what you want and you can be able to sit and bargain for what it is that you want. Some people ask, how can I stay for 3 years when someone is being unfair, hostile? So what we say is, when you're looking for a job, there is always that trial period, there's always that probation period. Probably we work with a minimum of 3 months. Within 3 months, even if in the first month your employer has amekuficha rangi, like you don't really know who this person is, by the second month, the third month, they will show you their true colors. And if you have attended the communication class, you will know how to address issues that come up. If you realize that we are not solving anything, that time you can always issue notice and leave. When you leave, use that time very well to get an employer that you can work with for the next 3 years. It's for your own good, because when you're hopping from one home to another, you lose time and you don't get time to grow yourself and develop yourself. So that is for domestic workers. For employers may probably feel that we have very little to benefit when we're joining, but one of the things that you are also going to benefit when we have an industry that has quality domestic workers. And there is no way that we can achieve this if we don't have the support of domestic workers employers, the employers of domestic workers. And you may be asking yourself, what qualifies me to join? One, as an employer, you have to remunerate your employees fairly and timely. And when we talk of fairly, we try to work with the minimum wage, but we also say minimum wage, yes, but how many people in Kenya are able to pay the minimum wage? Fine, but are you fair in whatever it is that you give to your employee? The other day, I shared a video by Yule Mama wa Bureau, and it was a very sad situation because this lady hired a DM and told them that it's only them and to cook and clean for them, and was offering 5,000, only for the lady to go there and realize that this person has actually 4 children and one is a very small children. I was assuming it's an infant. They have chicken, they have a garden, and on top of that, cows to be milked. And I kept asking myself, why is it that we want to take advantage of these people? And when we say as a member of DPAK, pay them fairly. Sometimes you even have to pay according to where you stay. I'll be very honest. Because sometimes you hear someone tell you, I live in this area, and the salary they mention, there is a certain class that you are in, and when you mention it, everyone is like, So if you live in a certain area, also identify what are the rates in this area, because we don't want someone to come and they are very much demotivated when they're working for you. So pay a fair wage according to your home. The other day I saw someone say, I have a place, I think they were talking of Kennel, and it's a mansionette that has like 4 bedrooms, and they were talking of, and the salary they gave, everyone was like, really? Even people out there can see when it is fair. When we go to the court of public opinion, leave the court of law, court of public opinion. If we went to the court of public opinion, would they think that you're paying fairly, or they would think that unanyanyasa huyu mfanyakazi? So pay them fairly, then pay them timely. It is very sad when we don't really value the work that these people, the service that they offer. And at times you hear domestic workers say, mimi ulipwa hata 20th, and hata nikilipwa 20th saa zingine nalipwa manusu. Nililipwa 2,000, alafu sasa hii wiki nilipwa 2,000. And I don't like this thing of wako na mahitaji sijui nini. That is none of your business. Has service been offered to you? Has this person worked in your house for a whole month? Why aren't you paying them? Why aren't you paying them in time? Why are you, walikuwa nakufanyia kazi manusu? As in, were you finding your children today wamepewa chakula, kesho hawajapewa? They were doing their work. Pay fairly and timely. But two is, you provide a conducive work environment. Sometimes these people want to work, but our homes are very hostile. We keep, like, quote unquote, backing orders. That is what my colleague calls it. That we don't listen. We don't take time to even listen to these individuals. And I always say, when they come to your home, like we talked last week about a trial period, where you just watch them work. And even if you need to say something, is probably maybe when something is really going to go wrong and you need to step in, but let them work. But sometimes these people can't work in peace, especially kwanza saa when you're working from home. Every now and then you're giving orders and you're not even asking for feedback. So we always say, when someone comes to work for you, the first few weeks is orientation period. The second week, let them work. Do reviews. Sit down and ask, how has work been? And we also encourage them to initiate. But in most cases, you as the employer, you're the person who needs to ask, how are you finding work? What is it that I should do to make your work easier? And if there is feedback that you need to give them, give the feedback constructively. Sometimes sasa uliniambia uko na experience ya miaka 3, hivi ndivyo unafanyanga kazi. No. Tell them, I prefer, or I like this and this done in this and this manner. So would you, rectify and make these changes and, incorporate these in what you're doing? So sometimes we just need to be very approachable. Sometimes some employers are like, nimesema. And sometimes they don't even need to tell you, nimesema. That's why we talked about employee. Identify, get to know your employer. Is this someone who can listen to you? Is this someone that you can stay with for the 3 years? 3 years is not a short period of time. It's quite huge. So provide a conducive environment so that this person, if someone was to give you 3 years service, that is good time. It's good time. Mtoto anazaliwa na karibu anaenda shule. You are good. Then treat them as professionals and promote professional development by allowing them time to go for class. Sometimes it's a Sunday, that is when we have a class, and an employer will just, from nowhere, akuje na story. Oh, by the time unaenda kutoka, ndio sijui anakuambia sijui ufanye nini. If it's their off day, please, we always try to put our trainings on Sundays. We don't want to interfere with their work. So we have made that sacrifice. Kindly also, as an employer, if you join DPAK, we expect you to allow them time to also grow themselves, and it's also good for their mental health. Like on Sunday, they will come out, they will talk to you, to their friends, they will talk to other members of the industry. They will get to hear what experiences they are going through. They will attend classes. And when you have a mentally stable individual in your home, then you are better than when you don't have someone who has also gone out and released the pressure. Because working in a home setup for a whole week is not easy. They need to just, get out and unwind. So domestic professional employers of domestic professionals, we need you on board. We need you on board for us to be able to serve the industry better. And I remember last week when we had Grace, she mentioned about us having an influence on the basic, on the minimum wage. And there is no way we can be able to give our word if we're not even we're not united. We have to speak in one voice. We can even write a letter and say, by the way, we feel this is high or this is low. Can you put it at 20 or can you put it at 8? So, and this can only happen if we come together. Something else that happens when you come together as employers is we're able to exchange notes. Sometimes I am always saddened when you hear that there was a domestic worker in this estate and they just went to the next house. There is no communication. Very little communication is happening. I mean, we are living in a time where kila mtu na kwake. So we really get to know what is happening and who is the rogue domestic worker that is, in our society. The other category of membership is for agencies. And this one is very interesting because domestic household placement agencies have, there are so many. And we have had issues where, I keep seeing people say, nataka mfanyikazi, no bureaus, no agencies. And why is it that you feel uncomfortable working with an agency? It's because they are not accountable to anyone. They're only accountable to probably themselves and the people that they hire. What if they belong to a body that regulates them, that they are accountable and they can actually, you have a place that you can report and say, hey, I worked with this agency, they never told me A, B, C, D, kindly, help. And so for agencies, when you're joining, once we are expecting you to be registered, we are expecting you to have a physical address, which we come and, tunakuja tunaona that this is your location, even if you're working from home, we will come there because we need to know we are working with this agency and this agency works from this particular place and we will do a vetting. What are our expectations? We are expecting that as an agency, you're going to conduct a minimum of 2 reference checks. Minimum of 2 reference checks, a personal check and a professional check. And they should relate to recent work in the industry. Sometimes someone comes and tells you, nilikuwa nimefanya kazi miaka kama, treat that one as a new entrant into the market because it is not very easy to verify all that. The next one is discuss with all these applicants their suitability and applicable policies and procedures of your agency. I have had an issue where someone comes and tells you, nilienda kwa hii agency, they didn't tell me that I'm going to be deducted this amount. They didn't tell me that within the first 3 months they're going to be deducting a certain amount every single month. Or a client comes to you, you didn't talk about, do you have a refund policy? Do you have a replacement agreement? Like, what is a replacement period? What are your policies? Are you talking to your clients about all these policies that you have? If you don't have a refund policy, let them know upfront, like, we don't have a refund policy. It's either you work with us or you don't work with us, or we have a refund policy that is 3,000 or that is 30% of what you had paid. So as an agency, you're expected to at least speak or have this conversation, discuss all these policies with your members. And definitely we expect you not to accept members who are below 18 years. So we expect you to do proper screening of all the candidates that you're having. Show an ongoing commitment to quality care for families, and always present as having a nanny as the better option. I have just had people who say, hey, instead of hiring, I would rather take my child to daycare. Always try and convince them that hiring a domestic worker is the best thing. And why is it that they should hear you? It's because you're giving them proper services. As agencies, the other thing is, kuna wale wakuita wasichana when they have gone to work. You have placed someone, then you recall them and you tell them, by the way, you went for 6K, now I have 7,000. We are expecting you to be the people who are guiding these people in the industry. So there is no way that you're going to take advantage of them and mislead them, because that is very much misleading. So as an agency, if you join, we also expect you to be an ambassador of the association. Be an ambassador. Tell them about the benefits of being in a community. And I think I have answered the many questions. So to the people who keep asking me, are you an agency? Can I get a job? Yes, you can get a job. You can get a job. There are so many people that have gotten a job via the association. One, you can either get it through networking and, networking, talking to the fellow members. Like, juicy, someone got a job simply because an employer needed someone who is a member of the association that they are a member of. So that networking helped this person get a job. And number two, if you're asking for a job, we will always, direct you to the agency that we are working with. Currently, we are working with web staffing. But if you're an agency and you're listening to us and you really have had what are the requirements of you as an agency and you're very much willing to help us bring change in the industry, we're very, 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 we were very ready to welcome you on board. And in the month of November, because we will be headed to December, then January, we want to have to interview at least 2 agencies on this platform. So if you're an agency and you're really interested, kindly come on board. In the course of this month, I'll be interviewing at least 1 agency who we will bring, if they qualify, we will bring them in November. So if you are there and you're an agency and you really would want to join, I have shared all these details that I talked about on our page. So just go on our page and check what are the qualifications of being an agency. Then finally, on the membership part, we expect that we will abide by this set code of conduct, because there's no way we are going to set standards and we don't comply with these standards. And if we are going to have quality service in the industry, then as DPAK members, we are expected to abide by this code of conduct. And now to the thing that really, 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 really made us start DPAK. I'm going to give you very short 2 stories that I've had. The first one, I met with a lady who was looking for domestic work. She came to my office and she sat down and I was like, is this one looking for a job? She was really elderly, maybe in her 60s. And I think I have shared this story. I don't remember, but I'll reshare it. And this lady was in her 60s and she was looking for a job. And I looked at her and I really, I sympathized with her because she was looking for a job. She was elderly, and I was asking myself, who is going to hire this lady? To cut the long story short, she still got a job to take care of an elderly lady. But I felt so sorry for her that in our interaction, I realized that this is someone who has worked in homes where she has not earned less than 15,000. That is a good amount. But this person never had any savings, because I remember I even gave her transport to go back because she was very tired, and I could tell this one, she's not even had lunch, so nikampatia ya kurudi kwake. Then the other one is a lady that I met also in the office, and she once we were having the conversation of why did you leave work, she told me she lost her son, and I sympathized with her because it showed that she mourned her son alone. Like, there was no one in the industry who could say, hey, we work with this lady, let's go and support her. And now the other sad part is when I called the former employer, she told me, hey, you mean it was true? And I was like, wow, you mean someone can fake the death of a son? But it's likely, because in this industry we've had people who've killed people and who will tell you naenda matanga zenye haziishangi. But these people are going through so many situations with no one to hold their hand. So, joining DPAK as a domestic professional earns you a ticket to our Domestic Professionals Association of Kenya welfare group. What is it all about? Our welfare group is all about savings. We are saying, save something. You joined the industry with a goal, with something that you want to achieve. maybe you did it to provide for your family. But if you have followed what I talked about, working for 3 years, growing your portfolio, getting a better job, then you know that at one point you may have a very good package that is, hitting your bank account at the end of the month. Do you have a savings? Do you have something that you can say, hey, as I was working, I saved this amount and I bought a plot of land, or I was able to start a business? So don't let yourself get to that age that lady was in, where she couldn't even afford transport or lunch, and she has worked for probably 30 years, assuming that she started working at 30, which is very unlikely. Probably she started at 20. So those are 40 years of nothing in the bank. So DPAK welfare talks about financial management, talks about saving. Do you have a saving at the end of the month? Then the second thing that we also do in the welfare, we have a welfare fund. So there is the savings and there is the welfare fund. Welfare fund takes care of our members when they lose their loved ones, when they lose their very dear people to them. So when you're filling the welfare group form, there is always the next of kin, maybe an adult and your children. So these are people that you lose and you feel the pain. So the welfare fund caters for that. You're given a certain amount, and we can even send someone to come and be with you, walk with you, and help you through the journey. So no one, and I mean no one, should go through the pain of losing a loved one and walk through it alone. So that is where the welfare fund comes in. So I always tell domestic professionals, you are doing this work. By the time you're hitting 45, you should either have identified a job that you can retire in, or secondly, you have already identified what you want to do with your life, and you have been saving towards it, and now you're almost achieving it. Because it is very sad when I see people come to the office at 60, at 55, and they're looking for a job, and when you look at them, in as much as they had good jobs, they have nothing to show for it. So I will appreciate the questions that you have according to this video that we've done. But basically, we were just talking about what qualifies you to join, what are the benefits, the recognition that we get, the professional development, the networking and opportunities that DPAK presents to you. So let me know what questions you have, and you're all welcome to join DPAK. So let me give you we have a guest, a very special guest for next week, and the topic for next week is, are fathers involved in the hiring, in the management of domestic workers, or are fathers a pain or a relief in the domestic service sector? And what informs this topic? In the previous 3 weeks or so, a week I guess, we have had like 3 stories that got me thinking. One of them is where a domestic worker was hired and she was really good, and the employer was really kind to this person until she got pregnant and delivered, and then the lady of the house was chased out because apparently the child belonged to the father of the home, and now they kicked out the mother of the children that this lady was taking care of. And number 2, we had a story of an employer who was complaining that her nannies are leaving because the husband or the father of the children has been making sexual advances to these children. And the third one is where people are reprimanding this employer because she asked the domestic worker to serve the father of his children. So we are asking, are fathers a pain or a relief in the domestic service sector? And we would want to hear from you as employers. What involvement do fathers have when you're hiring a domestic worker? I asked the same question to the domestic workers, whether they would mind having a father or a male employer, and they were like, I have had one who was really excellent, and others were like, the dad boss does not have words, but I always know that they are, united when they tell me something, because the mom boss will probably mention it. And the only thing that I have had most employers talk about is when they are firing, they make sure the husband is in the house. That is the part where I have had that they were really, they came in very handy. So our guest for next week is a dad who has taken care of the son single-handedly, because the wife apparently happens to work in a different country. So I want to know, Can you guess who our guest is going to be? I know you can't, but I will see if you can guess. So till next week, thank you so much, guys, for joining. I can see you, Leah Mogo. I can see you, Jacqueline. I can see you, Grace. I can see you, Caroline from Mombasa. Jackie from Karen. Asanteni sana for joining, and I hope to interact with you offline, where you can let me know how the session was and any questions that you may have. And I look forward to seeing you next week as we talk about fathers and their contribution in the domestic service sector. Until then, God bless. Bye bye.